Welcome back to Monday Musings, a casual conversation about culture and theology. I'm Justin Ely.
And I'm Daniel Chen. We're a couple guys talking about some stuff.
The stuff we want to talk about today is getting into the Christian Twitter. I guess it's Christian X now.
Christian X sounds hilarious.
Christian X sounds X-rated. I don't know how I feel about that. But this
or
is
like a bad rapper or something.
Yeah, but Christian X. This is something that maybe you're aware of if you follow like the controversies of Christian subculture. But for the 99% of other people who don't, you're probably not aware of this exchange.
Right.
And I just thought this was a really interesting exchange between two Christians that would be helpful to talk about on a number of levels. So the exchange was between Josh Howerton, who is a pastor in Texas,
yeah,
I believe.
Lake Point Church.
And Beth Moore, well-known Bible teacher. The interesting thing about this is they're going to have an exchange of disagreement. Josh Howerton has become known as kind of the anti-woke pastor. Is that fair? Or
I don't know how well known he is in general. He started popping up on my feed around the Charlie Kirk stuff. Mm-hmm. I personally believe this is not like a generalized thing. I think he has shown to like be a master at reaching Gen Z men in particular.
Sure.
And he pushes hard, like kind of biblical manhood. Mm-hmm. He's not afraid to talk about the issues.
Yep.
And he is pretty anti-woke. In my mind, I compare him most to like a non-jerky Mark Driscoll is
right.
A little bit how he comes off to me.
What's so funny is, because I'd say, yeah, he's beloved by the right.
Yes.
And I mean, the sense I get is both conservative theological Christians and conservative political Christians.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
So what's ironic about this is he actually invited Beth Moore to come preach at his church a few years ago at Mother's Day.
Oh, really?
And so he got a lot of flack from the right for doing that. So now he's kind of, he's more beloved by the right. But this is an exchange. I think this is super interesting. This is really going to deal a lot with manhood, the importance of family, marriage, how much we should or shouldn't emphasize that, and also how to publicly disagree and apologize. All of that stuff is wrapped up into this exchange.
Yeah.
And this was from a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I would say about Howerton as well is, he I think it's important for us to realize, like, if you're a millennial listening to this, you grew up, you've probably heard us say in the Young Restless Reform movement.
Right.
You probably don't know that's what happened, but this is
that's
like...
what happened, yeah.
Yeah, this is like John Piper was super popular. I would say it's kind of kicked off by him in that...
Yeah.
The seashells. Yeah. And you have a rise of all of these Reformed pastors. Mm-hmm. And I think we're on the downslope of that. And I think Howerton is kind of on the rise of this
Gen
new...
Z, Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's less about that actual... The Young Restless Reformed was a result of kind of an overcorrection of our parents' generation, and it's very like theology heavy. Mm-hmm. His stuff isn't that theologically heavy. It's a lot about being able to diagnose and provide solutions in the culture.
Yes.
And that's what he has been really good at. And I think that is what Gen Z is like really craving for. And just something I noticed. And it's important to note that I think he is kind of on the front end of that, in my opinion.
Yeah, the Young Restless Reform movement was almost like America's Babylon. You're in exile. Let's talk about how to be faithful in exile.
Yeah.
And so what you could call political theology, it was very minimized. It's mainly soteriology.
Yes.
Let's talk about tulip. You know? this new generation, this kind of new movement that seems to be forming is more like, actually, you're the majority. So yes to tulip, yes to like theology, but also how do you apply that to your citizenship on earth? Like, you are called to be salt and light on earth. How do you do that?
Yeah.
So it is a shift for sure.
Yeah. And I think he's hit on something too, which will color our conversation we're about to have, is that he has seen that Gen Z men in particular have been beat down by society.
Sure.
And so a lot of the videos I have seen of him really, really push on, be a man.
Yeah.
And be a good, godly man.
Yeah.
And that's what we're about to get in on this. And honestly, we could probably do a whole episode on the Gen Z manhood thing.
Sure.
About, it's so funny. They've had a completely different experience than almost any group of men in all of history.
Right.
Because they were like the first grouping of men, Gen Z men, to be just completely like pushed down to the curb. That like happens in zero societies.
Yep.
And so I think this will color what this conversation was on X.
Yep. Okay, so the original post from a few weeks ago. He said, if you're a young man and want your life to be consequential and fulfilled, ... Number 1, bend your knee to Jesus. Number 2, go to church. Number 3, read your Bible and pray every day and live out of it. Number 4, find a cute girl who loves Jesus and get married young. Number 5, have at least one more kid than you think you can afford. Number 6, work hard to build something with your life instead of complaining. It's not the critic who counts. Be the man in the arena for the glory of God. All right, so, frankly, pretty vanilla post.
Maybe for me and you, right?
Right, so, you read that and you think, it's emphasizing marriage. It's emphasizing family.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It seems like most people would have scrolled past that.
I love this, by the way.
I'm
like, this describes my view.
It's
my
a great
view.
Yeah.
And he even, by the way, that last line is a quote from a Teddy Roosevelt speech.
The man in the arena. I thought that was from something.
Yeah. But he's even he's taken one of the manliest men in American history and quoting him. Like, this guy,
Teddy Roosevelt, I'm on a second book of a 3-part series as a biography by him. Yeah. He's like Teddy Roosevelt beat asthma by just telling asthma to stop, basically. Like that.
He's Chuck Norris, right?
He is so he's emphasizing faith in Christ. He's emphasizing a church-centered worldview of life, and he's emphasizing a family-centered view of life.
I agree with you. As a Christian, you're like, this is just like your kind of baseline biblical worldview of things.
Right.
Yeah.
So Beth Moore hops in. Beth Moore replies this way. Josh, you've been so dear to me. I legitimately love you. I don't even like writing this reply, but I'm flummoxed. Numbers 4 and 5. What are we to make of the Apostle Paul, whose life was the furthest thing from inconsequential and unfulfilled? Or of his recommendation of singleness to those who could control their passions? And Josh, cute girls? Is that our qualification for being a good pick to marry? Okay, so a few thoughts on what I think she did well. She expressed, I love you, so she tried to come in with, a we're friends kind of thing. But the reply strikes me as, she became easily offendable. And I think that is something in our culture of, that can happen to a lot of us.
Yeah.
We let things rub us the wrong way, and we like to point to the other person, but it's really an issue that we have, easily offendable kind of
Yeah, and it's a little nitpicky too.
Sure.
I mean, like clear, like if you take a step back and ask why did he post this,
Right.
it's like, yeah, he sat there and was like, man, I really want to offend Beth more. It's like, no,
Right.
Like, you know, like clearly, like, and to what the easily offendable thing, it's like, I don't know if you guys as the listeners know this, but you can choose not to be offended.
Right.
You can.
Yeah.
Like, I read things on the internet I don't like all the time, and guess what? You can literally just keep scrolling.
Keep scrolling.
And not think about it again if you
Right.
don't like it.
Right.
You can do that.
Yeah.
You know? But I just think, like, getting into why she responded, I think it's because in our current culture, everything needs to be addressed now. Everything needs to be...
We have a tendency to if you have to nuance something to death, the force of your argument is really blunted when
Right.
you have to say, he's trying to tell young men essentially the subtext of his original. It's not a tweet anymore. It's
an X.
An X. The subtext of his initial X was, hey, stop playing video games in your parents' basement. Go do something with your life.
Yeah.
Right? If he had taken that and been like, but,
Go play video games in your own basement.
Right. Play video games in an apartment, at least.
Yeah.
If you have to nuance it to death, it loses its point. And this is kind of what he comes back to. So this was his reply to her.
I want to add, too, I think there's been a history of, like, Beth Moore feels like she needs to speak up for women, right?
Uh-huh.
And I do think one of the things that, personally, I think needs to be addressed is that women and men have been pitted against each other a lot.
Sure.
Especially in the Gen Z generation.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at, like, Gen Z women versus Gen Z men and how they voted, it's, like, complete opposites.
Yes.
They're like, women and men, you know, I wouldn't say it's everyone, but on the internet, it seems like they're enemies. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the problems here that I had with this X exchange is that it's like, no, let's be on the same team. You know?
I think, you know, and she, like, you can see in her reply, right? She has two groups of people that she's concerned about.
Yes.
She's concerned about the singles. So what does this say to
right
the young single? Are you saying that you can't be fulfilled if you're single? That doesn't seem to be what the Bible teaches. Two, I mean, let's say what she's saying. The subtext of her, she's concerned for less attractive women.
Yeah.
Right? She didn't like the cute girl line.
Right.
She's thinking of like Leah in the book of Genesis. You know,
yeah.
Rachel was. Moses said something like Rachel had good form. It's like, okay, and
Leah was cross-eyed.
Leah was cross-eyed. You know, so I think underneath Beth's reply are, I'm concerned about those two groups. What does this message send to these two groups?
Yeah, and
this is how Josh replies. Okay, because Beth graciously responded publicly, I want to do the same. Beth, couple of things. ... One, the creation mandate to be fruitful and multiply is given as a sort of default mode of humanity. This was the general command, not suggestion, given to mankind as a general whole. So yes, it is definitely a good thing to encourage people in general toward marriage and children, and marrying a cute girl who loves Jesus and having lots of kids is definitely a way to live a consequential life. I didn't say it was the only way, but I definitely think it is not only a way, but the primary way God would have most people do it.
I know you have more to read, but that's a fantastic answer.
That is a great answer.
Yeah.
Number two, I'm speaking as a man to young men, and I can tell you with a very high degree of certainty, the vast majority of men need to apply the command. It is better to marry than burn with passion, more than trying for Paul's singleness, which even he acknowledges will be the exception rather than the rule. Number three, probably just an accidental oversight, but you admitted in your reply the, quote, who loves Jesus part of my encouragement to young men when looking for who they are marrying. I did not say just look for a cute girl. Number 4, I surely don't think you're saying this, but for any onlookers who are, good grief. Surely we're not scolding young men for wanting to find a woman he's attracted to marry. If anything, the Bible sets forward an example that a man should stay passionately, joyfully attracted to his wife. Proverbs 5, Song of Solomon, Genesis 2. We have to stop scolding young men for virtually any drive, desire, or masculine instinct they have. Those are God-given and should be harnessed for his glory. Number 5, I fear this is a good example of C.S. Lewis's admonition that Satan is always confusing Christians to try to solve the opposite net problem they are facing and bringing a fire extinguisher to a flood. We have generationally low marriage rates, generationally low birth rates, the collapse of the family, people waiting until their 30s to get married, long past their biological clocks in most fertile years, cultural population collapse, and the rise of stay single, wind down Wednesday, and travel YOLO culture. I don't think the primary problem we are facing is that young men are too focused on marrying godly women when they are young and having big families. Whoa. That was a reply. So a few things about that reply that strike out to me. One, it was kind but firm.
Yeah.
There wasn't name calling.
There wasn't an attack.
There wasn't an attack. He didn't get personal. He tried to assume the best on a few lines. He said, I'm sure you weren't implying this, but for any who may have thought about it this way, here you go. I thought that was just a really good example of compassionate and firm, like out loud thinking and replying to a rebuttal. And I mean, that was a fulsome reply.
Yeah.
But I do think that the general place he's going with this is I agree. I think we have shamed men in our culture by and large.
100%.
And he talks about it's almost like you had this pendulum swing, right?
Yeah.
Of absolutely we've had this like terrible abuse of women that has occurred. Like the Me Too movement didn't come out of nothing. There is this rotten, sinful thing there. The other correcting that though, turning from that, is not being like, hey, you should never find a woman attractive. Like, and that's Howerton's point of like, find a woman. He said cute girl, which I think that word cute, I mean, he could have used a lot of other words that maybe would have been inappropriate. Right. But cute's pretty innocuous, you know?
And let's be honest, everyone wants to marry someone they think is cute. He didn't say everyone had to think is cute, but you should think they're
exactly. Cute. You should be attracted to the person you marry.
I married the cutest girl that I thought was the cutest girl, and I still think she is. And you know what? You don't have to think she is.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But you should. You should think that of your spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, so that was his reply, and I thought I think he makes a great point with the creation mandate. That is a command, not a suggestion, and that is the like primary way God would have most people do it.
Yeah.
And so I think you can fulfill and obey and highlight Paul absolutely does elevate singleness in a way that was unique to the ancient world.
Yeah.
And Christianity does that. Jesus does that. Jesus was single. And so there is this reality that I think the kind of 1950s Christian culture is like, maybe you could argue, idolize the family type of thing. If this is the only way to do it, you have to do it.
Yeah.
I think in our culture, we may have swung the other direction, as if to suggest that an equal number of people will pursue singleness as pursue marriage. And that's not really true.
Right.
That's not really what we need for society to work and to flourish. And so I think he brings that out in a helpful way.
Yeah. And, like, I think even his last thing, generationally low marriage rates, birth rates, collapse of family, people waiting to their 30s. And I think what he has done here is really shown what it is to be a man, with the firm and gentle response. Calling men were the ones who are, in my opinion, in the Gen Z generation who are beat down, who he's addressing.
Right.
He's telling them to step up. Mm-hmm. He actually didn't, there's a whole thing on TikTok called trad wife, traditional wife.
Right.
That's correcting millennials on TikTok who have these videos that are like, people told me to work on my career my whole life.
Sure.
And now I'm 39. I want to have kids. Why doesn't anyone want to date me? Mm-hmm. Why can't I have kids? Mm-hmm. Right. And then, but you see that he doesn't say, women, this is what you need to do.
He's talking to the guys.
He's saying, guys, you need it. You step up.
Yep.
You go do this. Mm-hmm. You go lead. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think I like Howerton. I think he did. I thought this was an excellent response.
Yeah. So Beth replies to this, and she writes, I hear what you're conveying, Josh. I don't know if you heard me, but I do hear you in this reply, and thank you for it. For those of us in Christ, it is honorable to be married and have children, and it's honorable to remain single. Both can flourish. That's the example of the early New Testament church. I did get stuck on the word cute, and I'll tell you one reason why. I know so many marvelous single women who love Jesus with all their hearts. Among them are no few who wanted to be married and have babies and are often left to wonder if they somehow were not attractive enough, or if they, in late 20s and in their 30s, have aged out of being good wife material. It breaks my heart because their excellence and loveliness are so apparent. I will leave the conversation here and in good faith. I think that's fair. You know, it's kind of like when you have faces in mind, you know, people that are experiencing certain suffering. It's you read everything through that lens.
Yeah.
You know, and so I remember when Hillary and I went through our infertility season. It affects how, like, every time you hear someone's pregnant, right? It affects you in a different way. And, you know, so like I empathize with what she's saying. And you can tell she's got names in her head.
Yes.
Of people.
And
that's, you know.
This is something we've talked about too that's interesting, is that when you think about making a decision for a whole, even for a whole church, you got to make the decision for this idea of just like the whole, the collective, mm-hmm. right? Even politicians, when they make, you know, decisions on a law or whatever, they have to think about the whole American populace.
Yeah.
If they just thought about, you know, like how this affects their homeless friend, you know, John down the street, mm-hmm. you can't make a decision. You can't speak about a generalized thing about one specific person.
Right.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
He's speaking generally. He's putting it out into all men everywhere, especially Gen Z men at a certain age. And she has specific people in mind, mm-hmm. and it's clear, but it's like, it's not, we do this a lot. Mm-hmm. We do this a lot in a lot of our arguments. Mm-hmm. It's like, we're not even thinking about almost the same thing.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? And I have evolved on this. Take the infertility thing. Take Mother's Day. Okay. Right. Mother's Day is a really hard day for a lot of people.
Right.
Okay. If you are not married but you want to be, Mother's Day is really hard. If you're looking around at your peers and they're all moms, or you're recently divorced, or you're married but you can't have kids, or you've got kids and you don't have a relationship with them like you wish you did, you know, or your mom recently died. Like there's like so many ways that Mother's Day becomes complicated. And Mother's Day is always on a Sunday, right? So it's always the Sunday Mother's Day. And there are two ways you can deal with that, right? And I think I've done both. One is you start out the service just acknowledging all that.
Right.
And inadvertently, you create a day of celebration and make it a day of lament.
Right.
And you start with all the exceptions.
Right.
And you make everyone depressed immediately.
Right.
And then subconsciously, inadvertently, you make people feel guilty for wanting to celebrate mom.
Right.
And celebrating mom is a good, godly thing to do. Or you can start with just this acknowledgement of, man, moms are a wonderful gift from God.
Yeah.
And we're grateful for that.
Yeah.
And then along the way, acknowledge this is a hard day for some of you. And I think that's actually what's going on in this exchange, right? Is she's thinking about the exceptions.
Yes.
And she's got some names probably. He's thinking about the rule.
Yes.
And so it's the what you say on stage versus how you would counsel someone in the counseling room.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting.
It's just, yeah, because at the end of the day, most people who want to get married do, just statistically.
Sure.
And that's what you mean by it's still an exception, right?
Right.
And the thing is, it's like, what was he supposed to do? Say what he said and then asterisks, except if you this. You can't do that every time.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we can't be sensitive to the single people in our
Sure.
church and love them well and hear from them, and absolutely. But it's like when you preach, you have, if there's 200 people in the room, you have 200 people in mind. You can't speak to the 199 and 1. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
You just have to speak to the whole. And I think, ironically, in the statement to me, is if more men stepped up, that problem would decrease. What she's talking about, and that's what he's trying to do. Is like be a good man. Go get married. Go.
I was listening to one pastor. I forgot who it was, and he was saying, "Man, he's like, my heart always more goes out toward the women than the men, because the men are in the position to take the initiative,
right?
And by and large, the women are supposed to receive that initiation,
right?
And so, what is ironic, I think you were getting at this, is Josh is actually trying to solve Beth's problem.
Yes.
But she's not recognizing that.
And
right?
You know what keeps men from doing what Josh says? They're afraid of a response like Beth's response.
Sure.
I think that's the irony in this whole situation, is like, I watch a lot of YouTube shorts, and if you read the comments about the dating stuff, especially in non-Christian culture, it's like the Gen Z men are like, why even try? Look at these responses that I get from these women.
Slap down.
Yeah. And so it's like Josh is saying a good thing. He essentially gets nitpicked and slapped down, and she doesn't realize he's trying to get these men to ask out these girls she's concerned for. But these men that Josh is talking to, a lot of them are afraid to go ask because they're afraid to get a response like Beth gave him.
Right.
That's the irony of the whole
it's
thing.
like, here we go. You know? So now we have a reply from Beth. And she says this: Josh, you might be able to surmise from what hour I'm posting this that it's the middle of my prayer time, and I'm convicted in coming back to say I'm sorry. Fact is, I was annoyed, plain and simple, should have kept my opinion to myself. I apologize. I think that's a great apology.
Yeah.
She owned it. And I admire, when you choose to comment publicly, you should apologize publicly.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
And, the only reason we would not be doing a podcast on this if this was a private conversation.
Right.
This was a public conversation that was available for everyone to see. So I feel more apt to comment on it, to learn from it. But yeah, public critique, public apology. And then Josh's reply is such a great example of manhood. And I want to hone in on this a little bit. He replies, all caps, much grace, Beth. I have been told by many an internet personality that I am annoying, so the fault probably doesn't even lie primarily with you. Smiley face. I just love, like, he covered for her.
Yeah, he covered her. Yeah.
He covered her. And he replied. I mean, that's just a very gracious, manly reply.
Yeah.
He took the focus off her. He put it on him. He made a self-deprecating joke. And, Beth replies to this. She says, I, too, am very annoying, Josh. And then he replies, two people, various corners of the internet, find annoying, with a emoji of people shaking their hands. And so I just thought, her apology was great. His reply was great. There's a little bantering. Like, I think what I appreciate about this is you're left at the end of the conversation recognizing these are two people who count one another as either friends or at least brothers and sisters in Christ.
Yeah.
And I think that's really instructive too.
Yeah.
Then I couldn't find this. It may have been deleted. But like a week later, Josh actually comes back and says, hey, there are still people after Beth for this. She apologized. It's over. Move on, which was just another example of just good manhood of protection. He's being a kind man. And so I thought that was super instructive.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting conversation that hit up on a lot of current cultural things, especially in the Christian sphere.
Yeah.
But I think it also shows how, if this was CNN and Fox News, could you imagine how this would have ended?
Oh my gosh.
Two believers having a disagreement and ending in forgiveness, grace.
Yeah.
And at the cross, essentially, it's totally different.
Yep.
I
think from a few perspectives. One, the kind of I guess this might be more left culture, but it says someone like Josh is never allowed to respond to something like this.
Right.
You just need to sit and take it. You're a white privileged man,
yeah,
heterosexual married man, and he doesn't do that. He pushes back, but he does it with grace, with he's calm, he's deliberate in her word. He's
words. Firm.
Yes,
he's telling the truth.
Yeah. On Beth's side, the political discourse today would say, never apologize, never take a step back. You gotta, even if you're wrong, you gotta just stand in it. And she doesn't do that. She apologizes. She takes the step back, and he doesn't cancel her for it. He accepts it, and it's just a lot to learn in a good way here.
And I think even that we don't have to agree with everyone to, one, see them made in the image of God, and two, when it's a brother and sister in Christ, to see them as such.
Yeah.
Not as an enemy or some abstract person you're debating on the internet or whatever, but I thought both of them did an excellent job with that.
Yeah, very true. So that brings us to our last portion today, our life hack of the month. And I don't know how much of a life hack this is, but I'll share it. Christmas time. Just go ahead and buy that package from Amazon and return it later. That's just what I'm saying. Is like Black Friday's too late for that, but next year, just if it's a maybe, just pull a trigger and then decide later.
Especially if you have Prime. Does anyone not have Prime at this point?
Yeah, to not have Prime, I would just be like, that might be the thing that would most change my life if I got rid of Prime. It would be rough.
Yeah.
So that's my life hack. Just buy the package on Amazon if you're 51% sure you want it.
Yeah.
And return it later.
Mine is, I haven't tried this, but I heard that it's true. So I'm sure one of our listeners will try it and let me know. But
You heard on
apparently,
X that it's true?
I heard it on X. No, I heard it in person. But if you need something to light a fire, apparently a zebra cake does a fantastic job.
A zebra cake?
You know what I'm talking about?
What is a zebra cake?
Like the hexagon-shaped, prepackaged. You've never seen a zebra cake?
No.
You're kidding. No,
No.
you have. It's like one of those treats you eat as a kid.
Okay, I might know what you're talking about. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Zebra cakes.
Kind of little Debbie's type of thing.
Yeah, like a little Debbie zebra cake. And apparently those things will start a fire.
Really?
Yeah, if you light it and you put it under some wood, it'll start that fire. So is it true? I don't know. I know I was with a group of guys last year that started a fire with a zebra cake, so I know it's at least partially true.
Well, there you go.
But I was not there the moment they lit it, so we'll see.
Well, I hope as you're considering your New Year's celebration thoughts, maybe some zebra cake,
If you're
some
like, I need to-
fire, see what
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
Have a fire extinguisher close by. I don't know. Practice fire safety.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening, and we hope you have a very Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you again in a couple weeks.